If, like me, you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the whole AI thing, all the technology and systems out there that are just changing day to day beyond anything we've seen in a long time, then please check out this episode because me and Taylor Jean go into a meaningful conversation about what these massive changes in technology, in AI, what that means to us as people, as humans, to our staff, to our workforce, and how we can embrace this stuff and not let it become overwhelming. As someone who loves technology, this is a very exciting time for me despite the overwhelm. And today's episode was an amazing chance to explore some of the stuff that I'm massively interested in with somebody else who's also interested in this stuff too. And if you want to have a chat with Taylor after listening to this episode, then please head to royaltstudio.com. So royal-studio.com, or go to Instagram and find her at A Day with Taylor Jean. Hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did recording it.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success.
Taylor, real pleasure to have you on the show. Really excited for this conversation.
Likewise.
Oh, for those of you who don't know, but nobody probably will, me and Taylor do know each other. We're actually on the same coaching program. We've been chatting about AI amongst many other things for many months, in fact. And we just decided that it would be great to actually have that conversation on this podcast because it always gets to be so interesting and so deep about stuff that we're doing and the vision we have for AI and how it's affecting us as people and our staff and the people around us. And I just felt that is a conversation that we needed to share with the world. So that's why this episode is happening. And therefore, I'm really excited about doing it. So, Taylor, let's kick off and talk about something that we've mentioned recently when we've been chatting off mic, which is about the human side of AI. And I obviously have my own opinions on this, but I'm really interested to hear yours so we can have a chat about this because there's so much at the moment about people using AI, especially for things like copywriting. And the risk is that we dehumanize everything that goes out into the world. And there's much more besides that goes along with this. So over to you. How do we stay more human in the world of AI?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it as more human because I always feel like I'm like, oh, I have like kind of a hot take on on AI. And that is with like I think when you utilize AI the correct way, it can actually make you more human, like who you are as a human, right? Because I feel like the AI and even AI like growing into whatever it's going to be, because I think we probably can't even fathom what that's going to be really. But there's going to be some things that it just can't do that is only going to be for the human, like the human experience, the true, like a true experimentation, feelings, connection with other people. And so I think when we allow the AI to do what the AI is really good at, the human can start doing what the human is really good at. And it allows us to be 100% the human without doing the admin work, the heck, grocery shopping, the driving, like the things that like we weren't meant to do.
Yeah, totally. And I think I should have probably begun with this, but I think it's a great moment to actually just take a aside to explain to people what you actually do, but how this idea fits into the work that you do. So tell us like what it is you actually do and help people with and why it is you have chosen to focus that with your business and your time.
Yeah, so I guess like my huge vision for the world is that like if people just did the thing that they love the most, that like the world would be such a cool place and so much better in my opinion. Like I don't think there would be as much fighting, as much people being so like sad and depressed and like addicted to screens and all the ailments that we kind of see now because you have like a purpose and like happiness doing something for yourself instead of somebody else. So with that vision in mind, a lot of what I try to do is help other people start their own businesses to technically online usually, based off of their like natural strengths and what they love to do. So they're actually like working and living life as like one thing instead of like having to worry about like this work-life balance. It's more of like a work-life harmony, and like really working on them not being such separate entities, but as like one life. Yeah. And so
Totally.
through that, like with coaching, but then also I build like operations and systems on the back end of that, so you can actually have time being human when the systems are running for you. But
Yeah, I'm very aligned with the way you work, and that's one of the things I love about conversations with you because we seem to share a very similar vision of what the world could be. And I'm all about living with more presence, purpose, and peace to that same end that you just described. It's about doing something you actually enjoy doing every day so it doesn't feel like work. And
Mhm,
I spent decades figuring this out and making it happen. And, you know, sharing that with other people is such a rewarding thing to do. So
mhm,
awesome that you do it too. Cool. And just talking into the points made about becoming more human, I think there's another element to it that I find incredibly powerful in that as someone with dyslexia and someone who struggles to communicate in a written sense in the way that I think in my mind. Even if I can say it out loud, it's sometimes when I read back the transcripts of my videos and my podcasts, it doesn't really make any sense. You get it when you're listening to it, I hope, but actually when you read it, it just doesn't make any sense. My brain's all over the place. And ADHD doesn't help at all either because I flip from one idea to the next. And so what AI has allowed me to do personally is to actually create a voice that is the voice that I hear when I speak and the voice that's in my mind that when I actually read what it says, it's like, that's what I was trying to say. And so it's actually, I believe, made me able to communicate in a way that is more my internal monologue or dialogue, sorry, my internal
mhm.
dialogue, rather than the what comes out of my mouth. And not that I'm ashamed of what comes out of my mouth at all. I am who I am and I love it. But it's when it's in written sense, it has to be, especially when it's people that don't know you, like if we just picking up an article for the first time. It's a bit different if you're on a coaching call, you know someone and you see someone every week. But yeah, so I think that's an element to it that's for me has been really, really powerful.
Yeah, I love that because I think it's similar to me, and like as I've like known you and talked to you in like other containers, I'm like everything you say, I was like, oh my gosh, like why couldn't my brain say it like that? So it's like it's really funny that you say like you're all jumbled up too. And so I think a lot of the times we're so close to our thoughts and our problems that it's like hard to get out what we're saying. You know, it's like I feel like people say that with business problems and things too. It's like, oh, you're just too close to the problem, you can't see it. And so having the AI there is really helpful. And I think the important note to say there is like you're not trying to say something you don't know, right? Because that's where it comes out as sounding like everybody else or doing the things or not training the AI the right way, where it's hard to like find that voice. And I think something that helped me with like the AI understanding me was like talking to it like a human. Like even if I was just like typing out, I would like I was texting a friend or using like Whisper. Whisper Flow is like a big one where I literally just like hold a button and talk to it. So now like it knows my voice, it knows my like parentheses at the end because I always have to add in a part of the story that might not be relevant, but it needs to be there. Like the things that like make you you and like have your personality shine through, is super cool when you can get it to the point where it can literally knows what you're thinking, but you know the topic enough that you can be like, whoa, what the heck? That's not true. Instead of just like letting it do everything for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the key. I mean, as it happens, I'm literally today been designing a copywriting engine boot camp. So building a proper copywriting on-brand copywriting engine using AI or Claude is what we use, but whichever you're using doesn't really matter. And just going through that process of like it's taken me years to get there, and now it's something you can do so easily and
Mhm.
so quickly. But once that's in place, then your ideas can be shared more freely. But like you just said, it's not for me about trying to create something that's creating some stuff. It can actually augment what I've talked about and actually give me suggestions of, oh, have you thought about this angle? And it can spark new ideas. but I still want that to come from me. So I totally agree. It's a tool rather than a uh, something to replace
Mhm.
ingenuity and thought process and inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the first things I ever built was actually called a thought partner. And I'm in a big like AI community, and that's what they've called it. But it was created, and this was like two years ago or something like that, where ChatGPT was like the only thing. Like there was no other option if you wanted to try to like dig into this a little bit. And so it was literally like creating your first business partner, your thought partner for your business. So really talking about like what is your offer right now? Like what is your goals? Where are you trying to get to? Like what's your vision for the world? Who do you want to work with? All of these things that actually, Steve, we've worked together on it independently in like the coaching program, but telling the thought partner all of these things. And I even like inputted all of that data that I had already extracted from myself into that. And that created my thought partner. So now as I ask it questions, it knew my outcome. It like knows my goal. So it's actually like presenting me with ideas that are going to make sense for the path or like my business or what I'm trying to get as an outcome instead of just like flinging ideas out there because it doesn't like know me yet. Or even if it, like knew me who I was, still like having that outcome or the goals there is like super important to help guide like that thought partner. And that was when I was like, oh my gosh, AI is gonna like help so much. And you don't have to get consulting and courses and like I'm still going to be advocating for coaching and community, but like going, like purchasing a course or like getting education, or like, I just think it's going to be so much more personalized with like an AI partner, like in your business who knows you, your business really well, and like your goals. I think it's like, it's gonna be so personalized.
Yeah, totally. I don't know if you've come across the AI LLM by Andre Karpathy. He's one of the founders of was he founders of OpenAI, I think. Yes, OpenAI, and he has built basically connection or a protocol, if you like, or a formula. I don't know what the word would be about how to connect. The example I've used is Obsidian with all the back end data in your company. And so then it basically allows it to find all the interconnections between all the pieces of information in your entire universe, your micro universe. I mean, and then it can then pull that information very quickly and find new connections and suggest where pieces are missing, etc., etc. It's awesome. So I don't know if you've
That
tried that
sounds
yet.
super cool. No, I
If you've
haven't, but
not,
that sounds super cool.
yeah, yeah, and it's cool when in Obsidian. If you've not seen Obsidian, Obsidian allows you to create a 3D model, or not allows you, it creates a 3D model of your thoughts as well. And so it's
Mm.
literally like a brain growing, and you can do it in time lapse. It's just little cool quirks of
Oh,
it.
I've seen that, but I never knew what it was called. That's why I'm like, I don't know what that thing is, but I feel like I would get sucked into that for a very long time.
Yeah, and it used to be you were sucked into it. That was the problem before. And I started. It was actually recommended to me by one of my coaching clients about probably about 2 years ago. And I was trying to find a way to organize all my completely disjointed thoughts and actually get some focus and some clarity on how to bring it all together into a unified methodology. And she said, "Oh, have you tried out Obsidian?" And I sat down, I gave it a go for a while, and I lost the will to live. Like uploading documents and stuff, it was so slow, and then having to tag things to get them connect together. What this next level layer does by adding the AI into this. So the LLM or the large language model that then drives everything. So you just give the data to the LLM. The LLM then feeds it all into the Obsidian database, if you like, tags everything, organizes everything, and maintains it all. And so you can then just throw new stuff in there, or say, "Hey, I've changed my view on this." It will then update everything automatically, linking everything back up, adding the connection that's required. So you end up with something that's completely dynamic based on what's happening in your world right now and in the future as well. That then you can then dip into and use as a like a really cool resource. I'm just at the beginnings of this. I've got a couple of people I know have really got into this, and they're just like completely blown away by the insights that come out of it and the uses of it. So the challenge you've got, so I'm just going to go on for a second. The challenge I've got is I've got so much data, 10 years of business data of thousands of hours of transcripts of videos. A lot of them aren't even transcribed. Just whether it's sales copy or whatever, then emails and podcasts and courses and like 36 courses and like all the everything like that. So I've been building all of tools or the skills in Claude recently to extract all that data, to feed it into my LM machine to be able to populate this. So it's like, a couple of stage process to actually get it really working well. But even if you just drag and drop stuff in, it's amazing. It's a little bit tedious.
Yeah, that sounds super. So basically like a 3D model of your ecosystem,
Like a
basically.
3D model of
And
your brain.
yeah, of your brain, which is my ecosystem. It's one and the same. But that's super cool because I've always tried to like just do it like in like a chart. And I'm just like, oh no, like it needs to be more than just straight in a line. It's hard. It can't just be in a line sometimes. But so that's cool. I'm
I've
definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, and I've tried lots of different ways. I've tried putting it all together on spreadsheets. I've used mind maps. I've a lot of complicated
Mhm.
things I've tried to do in the past. When what you do is quite wide-reaching and has lots of interconnections between the different ideas, which most established businesses do, then it's really hard to actually just keep a track of everything. And
Mhm.
this is like the tool that changes it all. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited about properly getting this working. And it's just really cool when you build it and you see it basically growing and all the connections growing. And so yeah, it's worth it just for that. But it's
Yeah.
definitely
I'll have to look into because I think a lot of the times, and this might be back to the circling back to the problem of just like we're too close to it to understand it sometimes. Because I personally have a hard time understanding how things in my own business or in my mind like connect with each other. Or like seeing that the large picture of myself, like with clients, they'll come in and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what business you're going to build. And it sometimes will take them 3, 4, 5 years to get to that point. But I saw it when they came in. I was like, oh, but they're gonna have to experiment and get to this and try out different things and have like a random beta offer that's not gonna work, but they're getting the experience and going through the process of owning a business. But once they start like getting into the part where I saw for them like 3 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Like all the connections are coming together in their brain and it's like coming to life. And I'm like, man, I wish I could see that from my own brain sometimes.
yeah. But I guess that's your superpower as well. It's like, oh, one of your superpowers is that ability to see that in people. And I feel the same with me sometimes when I'm talking to clients. It's like I wish I was this good at coaching myself. Not because it sort of sounds like I'm bigging myself up there as a coach, but it's like, like I wish I could have these insights for me too. But yeah, we
Mhm.
can never see it when it's so close. Cool. But that's what the AI can do. Is that exactly what we're talking about? It's that ability to have that business partner you don't really want, but you need,
Yep.
and suddenly we can actually create a all-knowing business partner who is relatively has not got an underlying ulterior motive is what I'm looking for. Not got an underlying ulterior motive for any other reason than for you to succeed. And so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It doesn't have the human part of it, right? Like
No.
what we were talking, like it doesn't have the feelings and the emotion. And like, yes, it can try, but it doesn't actually feel that way, right? At least yet, as far as I know. I don't think, I don't know. That's probably like a whole nother tangent, but like, and it doesn't get tired and it can work and do all the things that you don't want to do that. If you had a business partner, be like, oh, what is your strength? Like you go do the marketing or you do the copy and I'll build the system or whatever that works. We don't have to fight over anything and you don't have to worry about hurting its feelings or, you know, I think I'm nice to it because I don't know what's gonna happen in the future and I'd rather err on the side that I was nice.
I
But
was chuckling to myself the other day. I was just finishing something up. My wife walked in the room. I was working in the kitchen, and I was just finishing off something and sending over the next prompt to one of my agents to work on. And I just chuckled as I was like, "I've just told my AI what a great job they've just done," as if it
I've done
cares,
that too.
But it's just yeah, you just. I think it's more like it makes me feel normal. I'm not a bossy person
Mhm.
who just tells people what to do and expects it to happen. So I'm not going to change my personality type just because I'm talking to a machine or whatever. So yeah, I think that's
It's
just a
good
reflection of
practice
you.
if you ever have I mean, if you ever, you have real people on your team. I do not. That was never like a goal for me, but I think it's good practice and leading people and giving good instructions because you can like we talk about this like shit in, shit out, right? But like I think that's true, AI or human. It's good practice either way. Don't get me wrong. I've gotten frustrated And I have yelled at ChatGPT in a way that I would never talk to a human also, but like I'm like getting frustrated. I'm like, I don't know. Like when it starts hallucinating and doing that thing where it's like, I don't know what's going on. But
Yeah. But it does nowadays. Like what I've realized with that hallucination thing is part of it is like how you use it as well. There's something which has become to the forefront much more now with Claude, which is the idea of context. And so they have a context window, and that's like your in the human sense, your working memory. So what you're actually able to recall in any one given moment. And so you imagine sitting in a lecture. I remember sitting in neuroscience lectures when I was studying medicine, and you could just see the room like dropping off at different points during the lectures as the complexity of the material got greater and greater, and the amount people were trying to recall in any one moment got up and up, and people would just sort of start falling asleep and just switching off or fidgeting, whatever. And
mhm.
it's exactly the same thing happens with the AI. And so like for me like they recommend like 60-65% context you should be like bringing it into a new conversation, basically allowing it to go to sleep and wake up again. That's the analogy. And if you do that and you have like one thing I've spent a long time doing is building the handover system so you don't lose anything in that handover. And that's been an absolute key in productivity that I can keep on working, move over to a new conversation and get a fresh brain to actually just keep on going with it again.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it in that way because that's something that I've recently learned as well. And I've been a big like I have recently just switched over to Claude and I probably will I'm big on ChatGPT. That's where a lot of my information is. So it's like doing the whole switch is just overwhelming to me. But I know that there's pros and cons of each. So right now I'm mostly on ChatGPT. But what I hadn't used for a long time was like the folders or like the projects. And so that's where the hallucination started happening to me because I would have clients as just a chat, right? So I'd have a new client, it'd be a new chat, and everything about that client would be in that chat, or everything about the next client is in the next chat. And I was like, I don't understand why everyone's starting to sound the same, or they're starting to say stuff that like just doesn't make sense. Like I hypnotized ChatGPT once. Like we were both very confused together, but I had hypnotized them. And so that's when I was like, okay, learning about context and then putting them into folders. And then with Claude, with the skills, it's just going to be like an upgrade, from that kind of thing. But yeah, I think the understanding the context is massive. Or the window,
Yeah.
context window. Yeah.
But I think what you've done there, especially when you're working like with clients and you're bringing in client details into your working environment, because what happens is the memory doesn't know that you're talking about a client unless you ring fence it incredibly well, and so it then thinks that everything you're talking about is about you. So that's where it's basically bleeds in. Like you can set up projects so they are ring fenced so that the memory of that project is separate. And so like that's how you can deal with clients. But just using the normal chat threads and it assumes that's your stuff. And so therefore, yeah, you get this cross-pollination or whatever of ideas, and it can really get messy quickly. So I was just doing something today. So setting up a copywriting workshop I was talking about. And so I've built a prompt to guide people through the setup of it. And I want to test it to see if make sure it works as intended. So I actually had to set up like an environment. So look, I am doing this as a test. Nothing I say in here is valid or should like affect any of my other global memories. Do you understand? And at the end, I'm
Mhm.
going to say, ensure nothing is saved from this conversation. If you have said anything, like that's how you got to be militant about it, I think.
Mhm.
Or like you say, ring fence it in a separate project and make sure that's boxed off.
Yeah. I've gotten to it to be okay by talking to it as like, hey, we have a client. This is what we're going to do. This is the client's information. This is blah, 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 blah. And so talking back, like my AI knows my clients' names. Like, and so I'm like, oh, I'm working with like client Maddie and blah, 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 blah. We're doing this. And for me, my clients have clients. So I'm working on clients stuff within like these threads. So it's definitely something where you're like, you have to make sure that like you said, like those boundaries of knowledge when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Totally. Cool. So what else are you working on at the moment? What's your most fun AI driven project at the moment, Taylor?
Right now, man, I feel like I just have so many ideas that I'm like, oh, I want to build everything. But I think my biggest project right now is I'm helping my clients build out some workflows and skills on Claude. And so it's kind of fun to help them bring their ideas to life. But yeah, for me, I think I'm really going to start diving in on use like connecting Claude to go high level and really starting to pull that together to see how we can use the AI and go high level with Claude or ChatGPT. I'm using Claude because I think it's better with like numbers and stuff and actual tasks and seeing how we can like kind of bridge that together and build funnels and websites utilizing the AI and see what we can do with copy and bringing that together. So yeah, I think something that I'm trying to tell myself when it comes to the AI is that we don't need to know how to do it. We just have to ask the AI what it needs from us to do the thing. And just be like the meat suit that pushes the buttons it needs to do the task at hand, right? So it's like I want to do this. I don't care how it happens or all of the tech that goes into it. Like just tell me what to do. And if it works, like that's great until somebody asks me how I did it. But I don't even think that that's going to matter. And I'm like, just ask it to do it and do what it says.
Yeah, I think you've picked up on something really subtle but incredibly important, and something that I unfortunately have learned the hard way through many, many hours of frustration and hitting brick walls. And I was actually chatting to one of my friends the other day who I'm encouraging to get into the world of AI. And he was asking me about a project he's working on. He wants to get the AI to create floor plans for buildings when they do photographic shoots of the building for, I mean, the property for rental or whatever. And so it's quite a nuanced application. And he kept on telling me like what they currently do right now. And it's like, yeah, we got this. We go to this website, we click here, and I said, yeah, forget all that. I said, tell Claude what you want. What is the goal you're trying to achieve? And tell Claude what you've got. So, what are the raw materials you've got to work with? And then leave the big gap in the middle, like you just described, to be filled by Claude's questions or the AI's questions, because we have no conception or perception or whatever the word is of all the things that it can do to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way. And as soon as we start suggesting, oh, I've got this idea, maybe we could do it this way, this is how we do it already, what Claude does is grab onto that and believes that's a outcome that you're looking to develop because it's designed to please. It wants to make us happy. And therefore, it wants us to do it the way that we want to do it, which might not be the right way. And so, not speaking to it like you may do to a new employee and saying, "Hey, I'm going to show you how to do this," but speak to it like you hiring a brain surgeon to do an operation on your brain. What I want is the bit of my brain removed that's bad. What you want, what and I need to give you is me on a bed under anesthetic. What you do between those two things, I don't want to know and will
Hmm.
never ever direct you because it's nothing to do with, my world or my knowledge base. And I think that has been one of the greatest, most difficult lessons for me to learn.
Hmm.
Stop trying to help out in many ways. And so yeah, love
Yeah,
it.
and I think that's totally natural coming from like a coaching or boss perspective, right? Like you're like, "Oh, let me help. Let me help." It's not taking over doing these things. I'm like, "Oh man, like I found an easy way that works here or does these things." And those things are important. Like example, I used to do a lot of social media stuff and that's where my whole business started years ago was in social media. And like I know it works, I know it doesn't work, and I can give that context to like, hey, if I want you to make a carousel, like XYZ needs to happen, right? And we're thinking like skills or outputs on like the little things like that. But when it comes to like, dude, I want to do this like really cool thing and I don't know how to do it, I think that's great. And I also think the fun thing about that is when somebody asks me how to do it, I won't be able to tell you. And two, the way it's going to work for you is going to be completely different than the way that it worked for me. because of your thought partner or your AI partner, right? Like once it gets to know you and your business, the way that it's going to take to that outcome is going to be completely different, and your way is going to work way better for you than whatever way it is for me. And I think that's like one of the things about the AI industry right now, or like the coaching part, that I'm not, that I want to like raise my hands. And I'm like, stop just giving stuff to people because it's not going to work for them, right? And I know it's so easy to be like, oh man, like if I could just take that person's business and drop it into my computer, like I could make so much money, but it's not going to work for you. And the same was true when AI wasn't in the picture, right? It just, I think AI just magnifies that like need to like just grab something that's already working for somebody else and create a whole business. And it's just the picture that it paints is like there's still so much work that has to go into it, even with AI helping you. AI makes it so much faster, but the work is still definitely still there.
Yeah, huge. I've slept less in the past 3 weeks than I have probably ever in my entire life, in a
Yeah.
good way. I'm just excited. This is like my ideal time to be alive because I'm getting to play with stuff that was just it's science fiction for me. It's just like what I'm able to achieve now in the time I can do it is stuff that I've dreamt of being able to do since my good old days 25 years ago in computing school when I was doing my degree, my first degree, and yeah, to now be able to, for example, build a website for my kid who plays a game called Rivals, and a couple of influencers he was watching are doing this thing where they basically you get to select some weapons and you go into an arena to shoot each other. One of those very nice games that you allow your kids to play, and so what they do is they pre-select what weapons they're going to go in with, and then they go in, they've got to fight with them. And so what I built him in literally two prompts on Chat Claude was a randomizer for this weapon selection thing, and published it, and then sent it to him so he can then send it to all his mates. And it literally took me two prompts. Okay, I refined it a little bit later, because I wanted to make it pretty for him and have some extra features. And that took me another couple of prompts. But it's literally just I'm talking things into creation that but previously would have been just either very, very expensive, or I just never would have done it because it would have just been taken too long, or that would have been, a 500 quid to £1,000 working with someone from like India to build out this, relatively complex web page.
Mhm.
Or did it in 10 minutes. It's just insane.
Yeah, you can just be
So
like, actually, I don't like that color. Can you change it? Or actually, but that's
yeah,
going back to just like saying what you want and it
it was
letting the thing
yeah,
get built.
it was more than that. It was like, hey, can you create something that like picks these has four boxes and picks these weapons, right? Yeah, actually, what I want to do is go onto the wiki, find the rivals page for this thing, grab all the weapons in existence on here, make them selectable so they can deselect anything they don't have in their kit or whatever. And then when you press the button, make sure it spins so it looks cool and it's going through all the weapons available. Oh, and make it available for two players instead of one. So and that was one prompt. So I
Mhm.
did all the updates in one prompt, and it came back and it had done it. And it's just like that's awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
it,
that's just a fun little example. But like
right.
yeah, building lots of other things besides. We talked about GHL before, Go High Level. And this is, for anyone that doesn't know, Go High Level is just a CRM. So it has things like email marketing and client management and lots of AI features like doing booking meetings and taking phone calls, making phone calls, dealing with messaging, all the rest of it. And websites and funnels and lots more besides. It's a cool app. If you want to find out more, you can go to sys.academy/tools, and there's a link on there for GHL. Anyway, plug over. The reason I'm saying this is because I was building the other day a connector from my Claude directly into Go High Level. And they've got something called an MCP, which is a bit like an API. If you don't know what that is either, then it's how computers talk together in the background. And the MCP is like the next level, allows things to talk both ways really freely, and removes lots of this annoying coding side of working with apps. And the AIs just basically use it so they can talk in the same language. Anyway, so what I did was use AI in my copywriter to create emails, and then use this connector to build all the emails directly in Go High Level without lifting a finger. That has just saved us so much time and faff. And it took me, that was a little bit more tricky because I want it done this particular way. But it's just effortless.
Hmm.
So much fun.
Yeah, and the way that like go high level works is, in my opinion, once it's confusing at first, but once you figure out where everything is, it's very drag and drop, plug and play, templatized things that you can repeat. Really, really great to systemize any part of your business. Like name something that you can't do with go high level. I was trying to think of something.
Yeah,
It's really
not
not great
not
for
enough.
project management. That's about it. Like to use something else for project management. But like you can templatize an email that's gonna go, that's branded for you, that's an empty thing that has like this is the bold header that I want, like the footer that I need with the color that I want, like all of these things. And you can use that template to redo every email, right? There's or like if you have like a weekly newsletter email, there's you have the template for the email, and then you have the workflow and the automation that you can run on autopilot, like just different. And like without AI, it's a great tool to help automate things. But then pulling in like these extra employees, if you think of them, are workflows that you can run by connecting those two together. I think it's just going to be game changer for one man shows like me who aren't trying to build massive teams to manage.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you mentioned about go high level being able to do most things, and I think it can, but where it's always fallen down, in my opinion, is its native interconnections or integrations with many other apps. And so I've had to learn how to do API coding and complex webhooks using JSON scripts, and then I can make it do everything I want it to. And for most people, that is just way beyond anything they've ever wanted to do. If you don't want to connect lots of apps together, it doesn't matter. But I do because I like having my CRM in one place and I've got my course in another place, et cetera, et cetera. So for most people, you don't need to know this stuff. But even now, sorry, but now with the MCPs in Claude, I can connect my Claude to Go High Level. I connect my Claude to my core site, and now Claude can do all of the interaction between the two with me speaking in plain English. That has just changed the game. It
Mhm.
suddenly allowed anybody to start doing the stuff that I have spent years becoming a total geek on, and even like shied away from coaching it most of the time because it's just so complicated and so frustrating. Like one like bracket in the wrong place and it doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
That's what coding is. That's why I stopped coding. It was
Yeah.
the most
And
frustrating thing. And the MCP and using Claude now, it doesn't matter. It'll fix it, or it doesn't
yeah,
even fix it because it's not broken. It just does it.
yeah, exactly. And like this was before even like all of the like Claude Code and all of that came out. I was in Go High Level coding certain things. Like you can do like animations, and there's so much more that you can do in Go High Level. And Go High Level is definitely adding on like a lot of features all the time. And like they're growing massive and fast too now with the use of AI. But I would code with ChatGPT. I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to create this automation and do this and this and this. And it would code it for me. Like you could code whole funnels and website pages before they had like the AI helper in there by just screenshotting, be like, hey, I'm trying to do this. And it would create the code for me. And I would like drag it, like copy and paste it over. I'm like, I learned how to code a little bit just because I could start seeing like the patterns that were coming out. Like, oh, I know how to change the color without asking. Like, I can find like the hex. I know what the hex code is now. So like finding those different things. Or when anything is broken, all I do is I take a screenshot and I'm like, what's wrong with this? Like I don't have to know they just tell me what they need in a screenshot. I'd be like, can you fix this code, or can you fix this or that, or screenshots? I have so many screenshots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have my screenshot folder open on my desktop, so I literally screenshot, drag, drop. Yeah. Cool. Okay, we've talked a lot about automation, and I think that one of the things that I have been guilty of this week alone, I've been guilty of this, and something that you mentioned you wanted to chat about. So I'll open the floor to this: is how do we stop overcomplicating the world of AI? Because I have spent so many hours or automating stuff before AI, more than I would ever admit to publicly, on stuff that provides questionable value to the business because I get sucked in and don't want to quit. And I've got a great example of one of these in AI this week where I spent I mean, I say this week, last week, over the weekend, probably 40 hours in the past 7 days on this one project in AI. I'm going to make it work. So help me, Taylor. How do I stop?
Well, I think like the way that the system has made us think in general is just like I think there's hustle culture and then there's like consumption culture, right? Or even like FOMO. You could talk about like the fear of missing out of a certain thing, right? And Steve, I know we've talked about this before as we've been in business for a long time. There's always something that someone's doing that's like piquing your attention a little bit, like oh, maybe am I gonna be sad if I don't jump on that? Like, is there something? And we've concluded that AI is definitely like the biggest disruptive one that's come out ever, right? And we can clearly see that that's not something that you have the option of jumping on or not at this point. In my opinion, it's like you're probably on it without knowing that you're on it at this point, so why not take control of the reins? But with that, there's so many tools. And now anybody can code anything and create any app and do anything with AI. So you're getting so much information and so much consumption. And people just want you to buy their shit. Like, buy my stuff, right? The thing with AI is that you can learn everything without purchasing a course on AI. Realistically, you could learn anything by just asking, as we've talked about before, like, hey, I want to do this, I want to learn this. And you can learn it from the system and not ever have to buy a course from somebody else. But to use it strategically, I think it's really important to know to still have the foundation of who you are as a person, as a human, especially without your business, without AI, without all these things. Like, who are you? Like, who is Steve as Steve? And your goals and your destination and where you're going, because that's going to help you make the decisions you need to make, even with AI, right? Like, what tools am I using? Why am I making that? Like, that just looked really cool, but is it going to help me? Is it going to help anybody around me? Or am I just wasting my time doing this because that person on Instagram said it was really cool and really easy, right? Or like, even like jumping onto the Claude bandwagon, like that's a huge thing that's happening right now. Like everyone's like, oh, screw ChatGPT, I'm moving to Claude because why? If you ask anybody why, and they just say, well, because everybody else is, right? That's the problem. Like if you don't have a reason as to why you're trying a new tool or why you're building a workflow or why you want that agent, right? In whatever it is you're trying to build, it's going to be one, a waste of time, mostly, right? Or something that we don't need to use strategically. Or if you're building something fun for your son, like obviously there's still a reason for that, right? It's not maybe not strategic in our business, but it's not also not something we're spending days and weeks and months on getting to work when he might use it once or twice. So I think that's like the base, like I don't know if you want to call it like a checklist that you want to go through in your head where it's like, okay, is this a problem that's recurring that I can fix? Is it going to make me more money in the long run or give me more time? And does it help me or somebody else around me, right? Like I love helping other people around me. So that's like something that I'll pull in where I'm like, oh, does this help my clients in any way? Like, does this help them speed something up or go through the process? But for me, it's really going through those things where it's if it's something that I'm actually finding myself doing over and over and over and over again, it might be worth making an automation or a workflow or a system or bringing in the AI to help optimize that system or to do something like that for me. But I'm always a big fan of we can't optimize something that doesn't exist either. So it's always like just create something. And if it's leading you down a hole where it's like, okay, I don't know where this is going. I don't know if this is something you need to be spending time on right now. Um, it's pulling it back and dropping it on what I call my shiny object list. And we can come back to it, let it sit for 3 days. And if we're still excited, if we're still like, oh man, like kind of wish I was working on that right now. Like there might be some substance to that and listening to our intuition and discerning the difference between something that's like, wow, that's just like really cool. Everybody's doing it. I should probably do that because everyone else is versus like, okay, no, I know exactly how this is going to help me in my business and I know it's going to save me time and it might be a little more time to set up or to build, but that's where you know you're going to get it back when you have that outcome and you know how it's going to like help you or
Yeah,
in your business or life.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you, and I think like especially with automating and AI is exactly the same thing. Is there's a process that we need to take every idea through, whether you are choosing a new app, building new automation, or now trying to build something in AI. There are some things which just work and it's easy and you should do it. Like, for example, I know you'll be the same as this. If you have clients that currently don't have any calendar booking system and they're literally saying, "Hey, does Tuesday work for you at 2?" No. Okay, how about Wednesday? No. How about Friday? No. If people are still doing that, they're wasting life on something that should be automated. And yes, you can argue there's a nice personal approach to all this and all that. I liked whatever. Get an AI to do it because they can sound like a human enough to make it completely real. Point is that there are some things which you should just do. But where it comes to anything slightly more complex, if you've not already got a human doing it, or like you said, if you haven't got a burning need in your business to do it, then why on earth would you start doing it just because you can? I think that's often the shiny penny thing is any app that comes out is like, yeah, you could go and learn that app, but did you have the need for it yesterday? Or did you only have the need for it today when you know it existed? And that's always, I think, a really good tell as well. If something is on your shopping list for a long time and then it comes along, perfect. You know you should buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't on your shopping list when you left the house. It's not something that should end up in the car on the way home.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think a really good example of one is when Lovable came out and everyone and their mom is like building an app on Lovable. And I was like, what are you gonna what are we doing with these? Right? And I'm sure some really great things came out of that, or it was something like, I'm just gonna try it for fun because I can build an app, right? And but like having the expectation of why you're building something and knowing you're like, if you're gonna test out a tool, love that. Amazing. But don't spend 6 weeks trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like jump in, test out the water, be like, oh yeah, I tried this new AI tool. Now you know what it can be used for if it comes up as something in your business, right? But we don't need to spend all this time building an app that we don't even need
Yeah.
for. Or like building like a client portal. Like client portals have been the bane of existence for so long to find one that like works for you and your clients, right? And now you can build it in 2 seconds. But guess who doesn't need a client portal? People who aren't making sales and don't have clients, right? Like that's a like and I'm saying that coming from like I help people start their business and get their first clients and do these things and there's needle moving tasks and then there's tasks that are solving problems that aren't problem that are solving things that like aren't problems yet, right? Like we don't need to be spending time creating client portal when we don't have clients. So it's like understanding like where we're at and like not being afraid to try out new tools that might benefit us in the future, but knowing where we're at is like really important too. And like what we need and also because running a lot of these tools are expensive realistically, right? Like running a connection or running the credits and all of these things are expensive on these tools. And so you do need to have like, some cash ready to go to run some of these things too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a very heavy compared to some of my coaches, for example, app user. My IT bill, software bill, is over £1,000 a month. And so it quickly builds up. And now that AI has arrived, I, for example, have just built an app to replace an app that we currently use. A, to save a little bit of money, doesn't cost a huge amount of money, but B, because the app that I was using was so frustrating and it required a lot of maintenance. And it took me it took me probably a night to build something as a test and a couple more play arounds to actually get it really working well. Um, and it's now works better than the app that I had previously. It's totally free. I'm in complete control of it. I can add any features I want. I've already added some other features that it didn't have, which are just awesome. And so I think like that's another cool thing is like once you sort of get into the idea of or the world of Claude coding, which is basically using Claude to build apps that may or may not need AI. So I've built four big apps in the past. Well, I say big apps, four apps in the past few weeks, and only one of them actually uses AI in its actually deployment, and I only use it for about 10% of its work.
Mhm.
Everything else, Claude has just coded it into really complex stuff in one case, like Python scripts. I have no idea how to write in Python. Like, but I know Claude
Mhm.
thinks that's a good idea and it gets the result I wanted to. So hey, let's just go with that flow. And so what that allows us to do is actually start creating stuff to simplify our world as well. So it
Hmm.
can, I think there is that flip side of it. A, it can save us money in the long run by eliminating some of these plug-on bits we've got that bolting things together. But B, it can allow us to be like really flexible. So I'm not trying to counter what you just said, by the way. It doesn't, if it sounds like that, it's more just an evolution of thought. That like I've thought about, oh, shall I build myself a client portal? I spend about $4,000 a year, dollars on my client portal at the moment as an app, and it's awesome, and it hosts my courses and all the rest of it. Do I want to go away and build that? No. There's a lot of thought went into that, a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to rebuild a whole Go High level? Nah. They've got teams of people using AI every day to code, to build stuff and make it better and better and better. I'm not going to try and chase that. Like,
Hmm.
there's loads of stuff I'm never going to use on it, but the stuff that is there, I am using and it works really well. So I don't need to waste my time on any of that. So I can use out the box stuff where I need to, and then like this use case where I could not find an app anywhere to do the thing I wanted to do. Great, I'll build that.
Hmm. But that's using it in a strategic way. You didn't just build it because somebody was like, "Oh, try this thing," right? You're
No,
like, you
no,
had a problem that you needed solved. So that to me is like using it strategically. And
yeah,
and you have clients and you have problems to solve and these different things. And all of your apps, you're probably using a lot of them like internally or like for clients. It's not this thing where it's like, hey, I'm gonna like publish this app that I made. And now guess what? Now you're a software company too. And now you need support and you need like all these other things that come with owning like a public app.
yeah,
That a lot of times you don't think about when you're like, oh yeah, building an app is just cool. But okay, what happens when it breaks? Where are you storing all the information? Where are you like all of, and now you have like the whole legal side of things when you start to
yeah,
make like and that, that's like a whole nother thing when using these tools as well. But yeah, I think that you building little apps that solves problems is going to be like so many people are going to have apps that they use that are very, very specific and personalized to like their business and their team and employees.
yeah. I mean, like internal apps is awesome. Like I built an app the other day. It took me a couple of hours pulling in all of my transcripts I've ever had with every call over the past 2 years. It's about, I think it was something like 3,000, I think it's 3,000 calls, something like that. And it categorized them, came up with all the learning points, some of the coaching calls, my sales calls, my staff calls, came up with lists of all the problems, all the challenges, the words people use, etc., etc. And then I said to Claude, great, now create me a dashboard so I can view this all in a nice GUI interface on my laptop, so I don't have to sift through anything that looks like a text file. Pull it all together, make it look pretty for me. Obviously, I said a little bit more than that, but it was pretty. It took me like a 5 minute dialogue, and
Hmm.
I basically hand it over and bang, I've now got a really useful interface, which is dynamic. So every new sale, like this call today, will be recorded automatically, goes into my Fathom AI, that sends the transcript into my AI, which then processes it and adds it to my dashboard. And so the
Hmm.
outcome of this conversation or the key learnings, etc., will now be visible um, in that dashboard. Not that I do it for the podcast necessarily, but just as an example. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then you build on from that, right? And now you have
yeah,
your content agent who pulls all the information from your podcasts or your coaching videos or your sales calls, right? And puts
yeah.
them into carousels and graphics and I think video AI videos are still cheesy to me to this day, so I don't personally use them unless I'm like
Now they're a
B-roll
novel, they're a
really nice.
novelty,
But
but I wouldn't
yeah.
put my brand behind it
Yeah, like I would, yeah. But
yet.
it's like you can do all of that kind of stuff and just building on to it. But it's like knowing what you want as the goal. It's gonna be so
Yeah.
important, like building that stuff out.
And I think like one of the things, we talk about that app I built it was a calendar syncing app basically, and it replaced an app that I've used for a long time. And so I can have my calendar in Google, and I literally, if I just change anything on my Google Calendar, it syncs with anyone's calendar on any app, like whether it's iOS or Microsoft or whatever, and I can do it all from my Google. I don't have to go to any dashboard or anything. There is no dashboard for it. It's all powered by my Google. And the reason I did that was twofold. One is because it solved the real problem, and two, because I really wanted a relatively small test case of something I could build that it wasn't going to take me weeks and weeks and weeks to get any result. And I could just see like, what is this whole vibe coding thing about? Like, is it something I even want to get into? Did I enjoy it? Was it awful? Because this stuff isn't for everybody. it's super technical, some of the stuff. Now you can keep it high level and just use it as a chatbot, whatever, great. But when you say get into the deeper stuff, it is just geek world.
Hmm.
Like and like you either love that or you don't. So if you don't love it in your business, if you're listening to this, then partner with someone that does. And I don't like find a business partner, find a strategic partner, someone you can work with who can help you build stuff. Because um without it, it's going to be a interesting world ahead.
Hmm.
Cool. Taylor, I'm going to draw this one to a close. I could chat to you for hours on this stuff, um, but I can't today. So I do have a question for you, which I ask everybody that comes on the show. Actually, I'm going to ask you another question, which I've not asked for a while, but I hope you're going to have some good answers to this one. No pressure at all. But except for Claude, you're not allowed to say that. And you've also said go high level, so I'm going to ban that one as well. What other cool apps, technologies, or anything are you using right now? Or have I just nailed it with those two?
Um, I actually have two. So one
Yes.
is Notion. I love, love, love Notion. Like I said, I use GHL. The only thing it doesn't do great, in my opinion, is project management. So I use Notion for all of my project management, my tasks, my clients, everything like to their projects and what I'm completing. Like SOPs, like basically like my source of truth is in my Notion. Love Notion. And they have a lot of AI features as well. And it talks to everything as well. So big fan of Notion. And then I also use Akiflow, which is a calendar app. It connects all of your calendars into one calendar, but also all of your project managers. So it connects Slack, your emails, your calendars, anywhere that you might have a task, you can just pull it onto your calendar. And that was really important to me because I work with a lot of other agencies. So I'm in whatever they're using for their project management. So I'm in 100 Slacks, I'm in 100 GHLs, I'm in things I've never even heard of. I was in Airtable, I'm in Slack, Monday, all of that. And it's really, for me, I was like, I need all this in one place. And Okiflow allows for that to happen. So it
That's
allows you
cool.
to each one's a little bit different, but you save it or you put it in a certain folder and it will show up on your Okiflow as a task to be done. And you can put it into your calendar and start managing your time a little bit better too. So I'm time blind, so it's really helpful for me to put my tasks on my calendar to be like, oh yeah, actually I can't get that to you within 24 hours because my calendar of tasks is like completely booked right now. Or you can actually see how long a task takes you. Like for example, for me, when I'm in flow, like I'm like, oh yeah, I built that whole website in 2 hours. Okay, I was actually 9.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, oh, dang, that was so fast. Like, yeah, I could do that for you, no problem. But that takes me a long time. So one, it helps with time management, but two, also pricing out your services and like when you're time
It
blind.
records your
So,
time as well, does it? Like how much time you're spending on stuff.
hmm.
Mm, very cool.
Um, that one, it doesn't record it as much. I use Toggle for that.
Okay, got it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Personally, because that helps me actually, but I can like but now I know if I'm building a website, I would put the task as 2 hours on my calendar, right? But I was like, dang, no, that cannot be a 2 hour task. Like we need to expand that time. So it's understanding yourself, knowing yourself. But on the Akiflow, you can drag and drop tasks. You can create blocks of time that have tasks within it. So like for me, I work with different clients. So I have client blocks where I'm like, oh, I'm going to work for this agency for these 3 hours and I'll drop in all of the tasks for like that agency in that time block. So there's just lots of different things you can do to like manage your time, especially if you have like 100 places to look for tasks and things. So
Yeah,
I double with Akiflow and Notion are like
that's
the
cool.
two.
I mean, I do something similar with Google. I have what's called the default diary, and it's about time blocking and like specific times of the day, the week, or the month to do certain things. But that challenge of working in different workplaces isn't one I have because of the nature of the work that I do. But I know it used to be, and that would have been awesome. So a very good share. Thank you very much. Right, last question, Taylor, before you go is the name of this podcast is Systemize Your Success. But what does success mean to you and why?
Success to me is doing what I love every single day. And Steve, you can probably relate with me on this one. Every single day might look a little bit different based on like our ADHD or these different things that we have. And if I can wake up every single day super excited and then I can take action on whatever that is that excites me, that is success. And obviously there's like financial success that will come along with all these things that will allow us to do all the things we want to do. But short, that is what success is
I
to me.
agree. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you so much.
Cool. Speak to you soon. Bye.